are welcome to share your story and inspire others. I am Fiona Brennan, your host. I'm a personal success coach, founder of Inspire Action Success, and here in conjunction with Global Maps Events, I share with you beautiful stories from heart-centered entrepreneurs around the globe. This show is for entertainment purpose only, and the views of our guests are not necessarily the views of Inspire Action Success or MAPS Global Events. Enjoy. Hey everybody, and today I am joined by a beautiful lady all the way from Cardiff in Wales in the UK. Gwenno Dafydd is here with me today. Gwenno, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, and I'm recovering from COVID. So what you see today is only about 75% of me at full whack. So
okay, well, I'm absolutely so honored that you are able to take the time out to chat with me here today and share your story to inspire others, which is what we're here to do. And I know your story is absolutely so powerful, so positive, so inspiring. I'm really, really excited to be doing this episode, and it's coming at a very good moment for myself today in particular, to actually hear something like that. So I'm delighted. So Gwenno, just before we get into it, I just want to say that you are a life leadership and master coach, and you're also an author of one book, and you write lyrics for songs, many songs, which is amazing. And you've also written a stand-up comedy show that has been in the West End and would be...
not the stand-up comedy show. The show that went to the West End is one called Passionate About Piaf, and it's about the life of the French icon Edith Piaf.
Oh, brilliant. That is just an amazing set of things to have achieved. So I just want to start by saying well done.
And that was only last Tuesday. I also like to have a laugh, actually. So.
Oh, look, laughing is brilliant. It is so essential for the soul. So that's what we're going to have today. We'll have a few giggles while we're listening to your beautiful story. So, Gwenno, let's kick off, and I would love you to just take us back in time to your school days when you were doing a little bit of running, and maybe you might just take us on a little bit of a journey there for the next few minutes, and what life presented to you.
Okay, so I grew up around Fishguard, which is West Wales, so we're not that far removed from Ireland, and we always had a really close affinity with the Irish there, being a port and a harbour. And I used to love running more than anything, and I ran from the age of 11. I was going to be a physical education teacher, and I was school champion in all sorts of things, county champion in all sorts of things, the champion of the 400 meters for the 3 counties, and then I went up to the national sports on a regular basis, and I became reserve for the Welsh team, which I was really gutted at, because basically the first person was way ahead of us, but the two who were in second and third position, we were sort of vying for second position, because that was going to be the person who would be in the Welsh team, and she literally breasted the tape before I did. I was a bit flat-chested. So anyway, so I was reserved for the Welsh team. I never forgot it. Anyway, so my intention throughout school, I was captain of all sorts of teams, and I was very, very good at being a cheerleader. I was captain of the house team, captain of athletics, captain of cross country, pony club, you name it, I was captain of, class counsellor. So, and I always raised my voice on behalf of people who were softer than me. So anyway, I went to college, and just before I'd gone to college, I had been up on the athletics field coaching some kids, and I was doing the long jump, and I fell badly and hurt my back. Went to see a physiotherapist, and that was the first of my lifelong relationship with physiotherapists. I'd hurt my back badly. It had an effect on my knee, and I was walking strangely. I went to college, did a whole term of being a physical education training teacher, and then had to change direction, because basically I was told that if I didn't change direction, I would be walking with a stick by the time I was 30, and this had affected my kneecap. I had something called chondromalacia patella, so I would be having to have a new kneecap by the time I was 30. And this was the 1975 era. So having a new kneecap then was pretty gruesome.
Big deal.
So I had no choice. I had to change direction. And looking back, I was severely clinically depressed. There's no other word for it.
Because you had to give up your passion. You had to give up. You wanted to be the passion of being a sports teacher, and sports was your love from the early ages, you said. So now you're suddenly being told you can't do that anymore. You can keep living, but you just can't do that.
Well, to say that I was devastated was a huge understatement. I was in a very dark place, and I was very lost. And because I'd always been a leader, it was so hard to reach out and ask people for help. I just didn't know how to do it. I had no idea, because I was the leader. I was the team captain. I couldn't say that I was vulnerable and needing help. So I struggled on, and I did do my other subject was drama, because I absolutely loved performing, and I performed as a singer in school. We have these things called the National Eisteddfod, and we have the Year of the Eisteddfod, and I used to compete and I used to win in the county. And but I also, when we were doing stuff in school, I used to play the comic roles, because none of the other girls wanted to. But I loved making people laugh. I absolutely loved making people laugh. Absolutely. Anyway, I left college in 1978 and went to live in Belgium, and I was because I was very lost. I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I stayed there for 5 years, and I did a huge variety of stuff. I was living in a very bohemian life, and I ended up teaching English as a foreign language and being a busker, and I started off singing on the street, and taught myself how to play guitar, and sang in the restaurants. And then back in 1983, I came back to Britain because my brother was dying of Hodgkin's disease, which was a cancer. And unfortunately, he died. Oh. But when I decided I wasn't going to go back to Belgium, because my partner at the time, Paul, was going off and doing his military service. So I didn't really have anything hanging, you know, to keep me there. And I'd made a record and I was singing in gigs. So I had these two parallel careers, and I've always had two parallel careers. One is in creativity, and the other one is in knowledge sharing. So I used to teach English as a foreign language out there, and I used to teach in banks and the European community. I used to go to Dow Corning in Holland. And I taught English as a second language there. But I also had this performing thing going. And I've always loved both sides of my working life with a passion.
But you're no longer doing any sports of any sort at this stage, then? That had all just completely parked.
I was told that I had to, because I have this condition called chondromalacia patella, I was told that I had to stop sport for 5 years because it was a softening of the kneecaps. Okay. So it would take, because I was in a formative stage of my life, I had to wait 5 years before I could start doing any sport. But I did start doing sport, and I went back and I was doing half marathons, and I was enjoying myself. I was one of the top 3 in Wales. I did a full marathon.
Straight after getting your 5-year clearance, you were straight into, okay, I've got my permission slip. Let's just go. What can I do? Go. Half a marathon.
So there I was, really enjoying my running, and I was tipped to be one of the top 3 in the Wales marathon, which was a Cardiff marathon at the time.
Yeah, you're in your 20s now at this stage.
I was in my 20s, so I was praying, oh, I want to get my Welsh vest, because I wanted my Welsh vest and to represent my country more than anything. That was so anyway, so there I was training, and I was running, and I was really, really cracking on and getting to good times, and I was headed to be one of the top 3 in the Cardiff Marathon. And then, unfortunately, 3 days before the Cardiff Marathon, there was a multi-vehicle pileup. So a removal lorry went into a car, which went into my van, which went into another vehicle. So I had the whole bang of all those vehicles on my spine. So basically, I stood there at the end of that marathon with my neck in a brace, crying, because I was devastated. All that hard work had got to nothing. Anyway, I did overcome that, with a lot of physiotherapy, etc., etc. And then in August 1988, there was another rear shunt. My magnetic personality had drawn yet another vehicle to me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that was when, so that was August 88. I was going to North Wales to do a gig with my writing partner at the time, and she was driving too close and shunted into the back of the car. Car was right off. And from that moment on, I've had to deal with daily chronic pain.
So that was 88. When was the other accident? The first one, the pile up?
I think it was 88, 85.
So you were just, had you recovered from that, or was your body just still kind of, I suppose, in bits, so to speak? Or you had fully recovered?
No, I'd gone back to running, and I'd gone and done a two-month trip around Southeast Asia on my own.
In between the two accidents?
Yeah, in between the two accidents, yeah.
Wow. Like, so we just pause for a second, Gwenno, and just to the moment where you had a few days left before going for that marathon, where you were going to try and get your best for Wales, and the multi-vehicle pile-up. And all of a sudden, as you just said, all the work you had done was completely, shattered. That whole ring was shattered, and you're standing there watching somebody else cross the line with your neck in a brace. I mean, you were devastated, but how did that really feel like, and how did you move on from there? That in itself, is a huge thing to have happen. Someone who put a lot of work into something, and then to just, how did you move on to that, to get back even to running again? What work did you either do for yourself, or what support did you get, or is it built inside you? You're so determined and strong. What's the piece there?
Well, I'm a wild West Walian warrior woman. My playing ground was rocks. I used to climb mountains. There was a mountain behind the house, and that's where I used to climb. And and I was fearless when I was a kid. I'd go down places now where I'd think, oh my God. And if I knew my daughter was climbing in places like that, I would be absolutely devastated. So I was always a bit fearless. I was always very determined. If I set my mind on something, I usually managed to do it. So that must be from within, because I was devastated. But I broke in a horse when I was 14, and I didn't have much money. I had to go, and we were told, if you want something, you go and you find some way of earning that money. So I used to pick spuds and stack bales and wash milk churns and whatever. So I bought the horse, and I didn't have enough money to buy a saddle, but I did have enough money to buy a halter, which is a rope thing. So initially, when I got on the back of this horse and I spoke to him, like you've heard of the horse whisperer, well, I did that way before that man did. I just talked to my pony, and he wasn't. He was right on the verge of being a horse. So I'd say to him, "Look, I'm going to get on your back today. It's going to be fine. We'll be okay." I spoke to him, and he just allowed me. It was fine, but he was a bit of a nightmare. He used to buck and rear everywhere. So I'd be sitting on his back, and he'd buck me off. So I knew if I didn't get back on him, he'd gallop off. So that's one of my philosophies in life: is if you fall off the horse, you've got to get back on it as quickly as you possibly can before it gallops off into the dust. So it's exactly the same thing, really. I thought, okay, I'm going to come through this. I'll get better. It'll be fine. I'll be all right. So I had that really this amazing powerful thing. So I've got to thank myself for being like that.
Yeah.
I'm a very stubborn person. My dad was stubborn. So basically I learned from him, and stubbornness is the other side of determination. I'm very determined. I don't trample on people. That's not my way of doing things. I always believe that if I want to do something, I'll get there. If I want to
find a way, you'll find the way and get the learnings as you go, which you have been doing.
Yeah. So going back to 1985, I was just, oh God, here we go again. It was another you can't be a PE teacher moment. So I was, again, I couldn't reach out. I just had to find something within me. I'm wiser now. I'm better. I'm much more able to ask for help. But then I wasn't. I just didn't know how to. I had no idea how to ask for help because I didn't believe that I was worthy of it.
Yeah.
You know, so because I had loads of self-esteem issues, because of course my self-esteem was linked into being the best runner, the Victrix Ludorum. So when that wasn't there, well, who was I? I didn't know. So anyway, gone back to 89. So that was when it all started being a daily occurrence. So since then, which is, I can't even remember.
What started being a daily occurrence?
Chronic pain.
From the second accident, that was when it really started, was it? Yeah, yeah.
It's sort of slowly crept up from that point. And then, but I went for physiotherapy. I got a little bit better. I climbed Snowdon when I was 3 months pregnant, you know, because I was determined.
Just very much getting back. Give me that horse. Let me try. Yes, I'm in pain, but go on, let me on him.
Yeah.
And climb the mountain. Yes, I'm 3 months pregnant, but that's not going to stop me in my pain, because if you're going to be in pain, you might as well be in pain doing something you love, as opposed to sitting there wishing that you could do it.
So let me tell you then, if I don't want to dwell on it, because but I will tell you how bad it's been. Okay, so since that time, I've been to see orthopedic surgeons, neurology surgeons, people with brains, whatever. I've been to 2 different pain clinics. I've had a denervation procedure. I've had 4 blue disabled parking badges. I've been in a wheelchair. I've had to use a stick. I actually hated using a stick, so I'd use an umbrella and I'd lean against things. So basically, it's not been easy. Every single day has been painful, and this has been my life since then.
Right. Since 89.
88.
89. Wow.
88, 89, whatever, right? So so let's move on from there. So that has been my life. However, so in the pain clinics, one of the pain clinics was like, they'd say, we can give you an epidural. Oh yeah, there was another car accident. Forgot to tell you. Forgot to tell you. That nearly killed us. Yeah, that was in France. I can't remember, when was that? 2000 that was. So my daughter was 8 years old. So we were in this car. My husband was driving, Paul was driving, my daughter was in the back, I was here. And this car veered towards us. And I said to Paul, I think he's going to, and before I had a chance to say smash into us, he'd smashed into us. And the car thingy exploded. And I thought, shit, I'm going to die. I really did. I really did. I thought, this is it. This is the end of it. But we didn't. Paul veered into a post, and it had a concrete pillar and had a thing in the, it had a metal thing, and so it was like that hanging over my place. So if it had come down, I'd have been killed. End of. Anyway, came out of it. I was so furious with this man. I just jumped up and I said, I won't use that sort of language on your program, Fiona Brennan, but I shouted at him in French and saying what an evil git he was, and you know how he'd ruined our holiday, because it was the holiday of our life of that year. Anyway, so that exacerbated the issue. So basically what I've got hypermobile vertebra in a specific area, which is L4, L5, S1. So what that means is, if I stand too long, my back will go out. If I do any sport, my back will go out. If I walk too far, my back will go out. If I twist too quickly, my back will go out. So that's what I live with every single day.
And when you say your back will go out, as in like your back will freeze up and you won't be able to move, when you say my back will go out? My back will trap
some nerve or a piece of gristle, or I've no idea what it is. I've had x-rays and they can't actually tell me. But what it means is that it can be manipulated back into place by an osteopath, but not always. Anyway, the good news was that I never give up. I was always under this belief that I was going to get better, which was crazy, really, because I was never going to get better. But I always thought I was going to get better. But anyway, let me tell you about. What happened? I went to America. I think it was. I can't remember when I went there. I think it was 2004, because I'd had a program commissioned. To do a program about my mentor who was called Lynette Phillips, and she was a very good friend of the French singer Edith Piaf. And Lynette Phillips, although she was Welsh, she went to America on a regular basis. And so I had a program commissioned on her 90th birthday, where I went there to interview her on her 90th birthday. And when I was out there, I came across this amazing DVD, which allowed me to put my own spine back. It allowed me to manipulate my own spine back into place every single time. So what did I do? Come on then, Fiona, have a guess.
You went running.
I did. And I'm glad we're here, because can you see that there?
Yes, I can.
Well, that's me finally in my Welsh vest. Do you know how long it took me?
Fantastic. When was that?
Oh, I can't remember. I remember it took me 37 years to do. I think that was about 10 years ago now. 37.
So it's about so 2000 you had the car crash. 2005 you went over to America. You found the DVD. You figured out how to fix yourself every time your back went out, and somewhere around 2010 you got the Welsh vest. Is that right?
I think it was something like that. No, yeah, something like that. I can't remember.
So if you're back, excuse me,
hang on a second. So not only did I get the Welsh vest in 400 meters, which is my event, but I also got. I am also at that time I was a master, which means older people. I was a master champion in the 400, 800, 1500, and the 3 kilometer wiggly walk, as I called it. I am the Welsh women's wiggly walking champion.
the fast walking wiggly walk. Yeah. That is amazing, because once you discovered how to fix your body when it went out, then it didn't matter. It could go out all its want. Well, you're going to obviously be in pain.
I was.
You know, and would it go out just after you've done, like, say if you've done the 400 meters, you'd run it and then you'd have to go back and fix yourself then afterwards. Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
But it was worth it, because I don't have, that's no longer a dream. I've done it.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's
I won't
amazing.
be doing it again.
Never, ever give up on the one thing that you had when you were like a teenager.
Never,
that's
ever.
Amazing.
And I have to say, when I was coming down the home straight, I was thinking, thank God that's over.
I can mark it off my list.
Yeah.
Wow, that is fantastic. But tell me though, the pain, are you in pain today?
Yeah.
So it's kind of continuous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that never really went away.
No. But okay. I control it, you know. I'm able to, you know, for example, this beautiful chair here. And for those of you, you know, I like to share knowledge if I can. There's an organization called Access to Work. And if you have, I now have a disability. I don't feel I am disabled. I cope very, very well, but I do, under the auspice of the 2010 Disability Act, I've had a disability since August 1988. I don't consider myself to be disabled, but that law protects me. So if you have a disability, whatever that is, then and you want to continue working, then Access to Work will enable you by giving you specific things. This chair, for example, you can see it's beautiful and it's been tailor-made to my body. Now, this is the second one I've had. Other things that I use I have 2 cocodamols every night because otherwise I'll be woken up in the middle of the night by pain. I'm on antidepressants because basically pain is very depressing. And they actually enable me to live a relatively normal life. So, you know, and I've got this way of cracking my back in again. So those are the ways I cope. I have coping strategies. And, you know, for those of you who think, well, I wouldn't want to go on tablets, they have a place. And if imagine, you know, if you had asthma or if you had epilepsy, would you say, I'm not going to take tablets, I'm not going to take a pump because I don't want to be on medication for the rest of my life? No, you take them because you want a better quality of life. And this is a thing I would say to people is, you know, if you are in daily chronic pain, or you have a condition which is really difficult to cope with, go and get some help, you know, because there's no point suffering in silence. I did for too long and it didn't benefit me. You know, I have a great life. I really enjoy my life at the moment. You know, I was running before COVID, and, you know, so I can't run very far because I've now got, oh, I forgot to tell you that I have 3 metal pins in my leg, because there was this tiny window between not being able to do anything, and then when I found the DVD in America, when I used to go down the track, the trainer Derek used to say to me, God, you really flay your leg out in a very strange way. And what I found out was that my knee was, there was nothing, it was just bone rubbing on bone. So basically, to cope, my coping strategy was to kick my leg out. So anyway, I ended up having a major knee operation, which was called a focus osteotomy, which meant that my competitive running days are long gone. However, I can have a little gentle trot up the river, and for me, that's bliss. Yes. So another thing I would say to people is, okay, some of these things that people may be struggling with, they're tough. They're very tough. And the biggest, well, I've got loads of mottos, but one of the things I would say is focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. Because if you focus on what you can't do, you're going to be very, very disillusioned and unhappy with your life. Focus on what you can do. I can run, you know, 2 miles. I'm over the moon. I can do that. It starts to hurt after that, but, you know. Yeah.
That's, I mean, that is so powerful, and to remember it, we know it, but it's so easy to forget it and to remind ourselves. We can't be good at everything. And there's
I am. How dare you?
Apart from you, Gwenno. But, you know, like, there's billions of people on the planet, and everybody's got their own unique pieces, you know, and elements. So it's what's for you, what are you here for, and what you can do, as you say, and, you know, you've got amazing you know, talents that you share with your speakers, you know, the speaking training school, and all the wonderful work that you do, and from the creativity side, you know, writing your books and writing your plays and all of that wonderful stuff. So, you know, I mean, I couldn't write like the lyrics for whatever.
I can write a lyric in an afternoon.
Okay. I'm not going to like be upset about it. Like, it's, you know, and you have that amazing book, Stand Up, and
this is a book.
Well, sock it to me. Sock it to them, sister.
Stand Up and Sock It to Them, Sister. Look how thick that is. That was what kept me sane in all those years of not being able to do things. If it weren't for that book, I'm not sure I'd still be here, really. Because, and as you say, everybody's different, you know. I mean, the thing that's rock solid in me is determination, you know, and I never, ever give up, you know. And so that's, I think, what you have to say is, okay, not everybody's going to find a solution to their issues, but we can all work around those issues. Yeah. And I'm sure you're brilliant at loads of things, Fiona Brennan.
Mince pies.
And the rest.
I make a great mince pie. This time of the year. No, you know what? It's so true that everybody, yes, there are, life will throw challenges, and you may not be able to overcome them fully, or you can change them, or you can have something different. It might not be what you exactly had intended. It might not look like what you thought, but it's still something. And it's a matter of just accepting that and saying, okay, so what have I got, and what can I do? And, you know, how can I make this little piece that I have the best it can be? I can either give up and curl in a corner and just, you know, rot away. That's always an option. Or I can just say, okay, let's make the most of what's here, because we're here to learn and grow as much as we can, and to help others do the same. So by us showing up powerfully for ourselves is the best thing we can do for everybody else, like you are doing. Amazing. Love it. And, you know, when you say about the tablets, you know, taking antidepressants, pain is, you know, when you have just to consider the simplest pain, if you've got a headache, you know, it takes over your mood, and it can bring you down. And why, you know, yes, you can do things to maybe overcome that. But look, if just taking something just, you know, helps you live with that a little bit better, so that enables you then to do the work that you want to do or live the life you want to live, then, you know, of course, why not? There's no point in being a martyr to the cause.
Absolutely not. And I think, to be honest, today's the only time I've really, well, I did talk about it briefly on another podcast that I did, but I think I'm starting to open up a bit more about it, because what I want to see in the next few years is the myth about, well, it's the taboo about mental health and mental illness, because what has happened through the COVID crisis is that depression is twice as prolific as it was. And that means that in pre-COVID, it was 1 in 4 of us who was going to have mental health issues, whereas now it's way, way higher. So we need to be more compassionate, we need to be more empathetic, and I need to be braver and talk about what I'm doing. And if it's, you know, just it shows someone else that, look at her, she's, you know, she's full of life, she's not, you know, because people think that because if you're on antidepressants that you're a zombie. I'm not a zombie, you know. And it does allow me, I mean, it does take a slight edge off the pain, and it is used in pain clinics, in most pain clinics, because as I was saying, one of them was, well, they're both to do with learning to live with pain. The first pain clinic I went to was all about, here you are, have an epidural every 6 weeks. And I thought, no, that's not for me. And then they were doing things like, you know, talking about coming to terms with becoming disabled, which I refused. I refused to become disabled. And but the other clinic was all about really learning to live with it and focusing on the good things, you know, that you can actually do with your life. And when I went back to that clinic and said, hey, I found this amazing DVD in America, which has enabled me to mobilize my own spine. So I've gone back to running. They said, quite patronizingly, if I may say so, don't you think if there was something out there that would help, that we would know about it? So, find your own way.
Yeah. So, you know, it's very important, as you say, to develop a strategy for yourself. What works for, you know, each person individually. If you're in a situation where you have to live with chronic pain, to come up with a coping strategy. What is it? What are the tools that you need to help you get through each day, and not just get through each day, but actually live each day?
Well, I would say that I work as a leadership and public speaking coach, and one of the main tools in my my toolbox really is gratitude. And I think I've learned over the last few years about, you know, and that's again about focusing on what you can do, not what you can't do. So gratitude diaries, you may well have heard about them. They the whole element of gratitude was started by somebody called Professor Martin Seligman from the University of Los Angeles. And he was doing work with people who have depression. And if you think about it, it says quite clearly in the Bible, count your blessings, name them one by one, and you will be surprised what the Lord has done. And it is to do with that, you know, because we all are blessed. I have a roof over my head. I have food in my belly. I have wonderful friendships in my life. You know, I can go for a walk down the river and see a heron. I have eyes at work. You know, we often focus on the negative. And this is very, very key, really, because once you start focusing on the positives in your life, the things you should be grateful for. And I did start doing this, and I don't even do it anymore, but you can write them down. And the actual issue of writing something down, there's a connection between the hand and the brain. So it's better than typing them up or putting them. So actually writing down in your gratitude diary, get a really nice diary. Let's have a look, see if I've got one here. Something like this. Oh, look.
Just a nice journal. Yes.
A nice journal. That's the next diary of mine. Look, matches my.
I was just going to say, you're like your glitter.
I am. I love my glitter. So write it in at the end of every day, because then that's what you're going to focus on. Your brain will focus on what you're directing it towards. So if you direct your brain towards 3 positive things, for example, my positives for today are, I've spoken to Fiona Brennan. We've had a lovely, lovely conversation. I'm also going to be grateful for the fact that it's not raining. I'm going to be grateful that I can cycle into town and do a bit of Christmas shopping.
Yay.
Very small things, you know.
Very important things.
Very
but
important.
The thing about it is, right, it's all the little small things. And as you say, we do tend to focus on the brain is wired for the negative, and we will automatically look to comment on the thing that we don't have, as opposed to looking to, well, what do you have? And I know we're going to wrap it up now in a minute, but it just, and I'll probably get the story wrong, but I read the book, and I can't even remember the book, but it wasn't The Power of Now, or The Power of One or something, but the guy who
called Taller, that is, yeah.
This guy comes into him one day and he says, I'm absolutely devastated. My life is over, because his business had gone into bankruptcy. Oh, my life is over, and like, I'm just, you know, there's just no point. I have nothing to live for. And the person he came to then asked the question was, you know, where is your wife? Or he said, I have nothing to live for. And he says, have you got a wife? Yeah, she's still there. Yeah, she's still supporting you. Has she supported you all? Yeah, she is. Is she okay with it? Have you got children? Yeah, I have. And where are they? And how are they? And whatever. And he continued on to listen, like, have you got a home to go home to after this? And, you know, does it have the heating? Is it whatever? And also the last thing was, so is it fair to say that you've got nothing to live for anymore? And your man realized that he actually had an abundance of stuff. But our automatic thing was like, well, my life is over because my job has just completely been cremated, and that's the end of everything as I know it. But it's when you step back and just take stock of what you actually have now, where you are at.
And it also changes the neural pathways. The more you focus on the good, the more good neural pathways and you'll start looking for all those things that you have to be grateful for. That's the most important point of it.
Yes. Yeah, very powerful. So as we wrap up, Gwenno, with this lovely conversation, because we could keep japping, but trying to keep them to a nice time. What's like, there's loads of golden nuggets here in this from you, and I'm going to summarize a few in the notes of the show. But what's one final word to say to anyone who listens to this? What's your favorite takeaway for people?
There's 2. Never give up, and the other one is, when you fall off the horse, get back onto it as quickly as possible before it runs off into the dust. Yeah, you have to do it. So it's got to be, you've got to grow your determination.
Yeah, and it's the piece there is as very quickly to get back up really quickly. Because if you don't, as you said, well, the horse runs away, but it's equivalent to the opportunity. You miss the opportunity, it goes. But plus it gets harder to get back up. It's like going into the cold water of the sea. You go in once and you're like, oh, it's got to come back out. No, don't come back out. Or if you do come back out, go straight back in again.
That's another thing I do. I do wild swimming. I love it.
Wild swimming. Amazing. Well, no, it's been an absolute joy talking to you. I love your story of resilience. It's just so powerful. And I wish you all the very best full of beautiful moments in all your days. And I will see you again very soon. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Santa.
And thank you everybody for listening. And we will be back again soon.